First contact and betrayal. The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning at the Lunar Deep Space Observatory. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her display in disbelief as perfectly structured mathematical sequences cascaded across her screen. After decades of searching the stars, humanity had finally received its first confirmed alien transmission. Within hours, the world's leading scientists confirmed what Sarah already knew. This was no natural phenomenon. The signal originated from a vessel approaching the outer edges of our solar system, carrying beings who called themselves the Meridians. Their message was simple: we come in peace, seeking dialogue with your species. The next 6 months transformed human civilization. The Meridians shared glimpses of their advanced technology, clean energy systems, medical breakthroughs, and faster-than-light travel theories. Global markets soared, and humanity dared to dream of a golden age of interstellar cooperation. The Meridians, with their crystalline-based biology and sophisticated culture, seemed like the perfect mentors for humanity's next great leap forward. Dr. Chen led the primary communication team, working closely with the Meridian Cultural Attaché, a being who called itself Azure Echo. Your species shows remarkable potential, Azure Echo told her during one of their many discussions. We see in humans what we once were: curious, adaptable, resilient. But Sarah noticed troubling inconsistencies, small things at first, subtle variations in the Meridians' historical accounts, unexplained energy signatures from their ships, and most worrying, their persistent requests for detailed scans of Earth's defense systems under the guise of compatibility assessments. When she raised her concerns to the United Earth Council, she was politely dismissed. We can't risk offending them with paranoid accusations, they said. The promise of advanced technology and interstellar travel had blinded humanity's leaders to the mounting evidence of deception. The truth revealed itself 13 months after first contact. Sarah was analyzing deep space telemetry when the first reports came in. The Meridian diplomatic fleet, stationed near Mars, had suddenly powered up their weapon systems. Simultaneously, massive vessels emerged from hyperspace near Earth's major military installations. The attack was devastating in its precision. Within hours, Earth's orbital defense platforms were reduced to debris. The Meridians' crystalline ships, previously described as cultural exchange vessels, unleashed weapons that turned the atmosphere itself into a conductor for their energy weapons. But they had underestimated human resilience. As cities burned and governments fell, something remarkable happened. Instead of surrendering, humanity adapted. Military bases moved underground. Civilian tech companies repurposed their factories for weapons production. The Internet, despite being partially destroyed, evolved into a mesh network of resistance communications. Sarah found herself at the heart of this transformation. Her deep understanding of Meridian communications made her invaluable to the resistance. Working from a hidden facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, she discovered the first weakness in Meridian technology. Their crystalline ships were vulnerable to specific frequencies of sonic interference. The last transmission she sent before the resistance went dark was received by military commands worldwide. They expect us to break, to submit like every other species they've conquered. But they don't understand what humanity does when pushed into a corner. We don't just survive, we evolutionize. They wanted to see our potential. Let's show them exactly what humans are capable of. As the first month of occupation drew to a close, the Meridians realized they had made a crucial mistake. They had studied human technology, human biology, and human military capabilities, but they had failed to study human history. The countless stories of occupied peoples rising against overwhelming odds. They didn't understand that humans fight hardest when victory seems impossible. In the ruins of Washington, D.C., a Meridian commander observed a curious sight. Humans weren't fleeing from their conquered cities. Instead, they were organizing, adapting, and most worryingly, smiling with a determination that sent chills through his crystalline form. The real war, he realized, was just beginning. Sarah's team made another discovery in those dark days. The Meridians weren't just conquerors. They were parasites. Each conquered species became part of their biological and technological collective, forcibly integrated into their crystalline matrix. Earth wasn't just fighting for independence. It was fighting for the right to remain human. As Part 1 draws to a close, resistance cells across the globe begin implementing Sarah's sonic weapon designs. The Meridians' confident victory broadcasts are interrupted by an unexpected sound. The cracking of crystalline hulls in the sky above Denver, the first sign that humanity's counterattack was about to begin. The silent resistance. Major Marcus Torres crouched in the ruins of what was once Chicago's Loop, watching a Meridian patrol glide through the empty streets. Their crystalline forms caught the morning light, refracting it into deadly beautiful patterns. 6 months into the occupation, and humanity had learned to turn such beauty into a weapon. "Echo team in position," whispered Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka through their quantum mesh communicator. Another gift of human ingenuity, born from studying scattered pieces of Meridian tech. Sonic disruptors charge. The resistance had grown from desperate bands of survivors into a sophisticated guerrilla force. Their greatest advantage wasn't weapons or technology. It was the Meridians' fundamental inability to understand human psychology. The aliens expected submission after their initial victory. Instead, they got innovation. Deep beneath the streets of major cities worldwide, humans had built a network of underground facilities. These weren't just hideouts. They were laboratories, factories, and command centers. Dr. Chen's early discovery about sonic vulnerabilities had been just the beginning. Every defeated human city became a testing ground for new ways to fight back. Marcus raised his hand, signaling his team. The sonic disruptors were their most effective weapons, but they were just one part of a larger strategy. Humanity had learned to think like the hunted, to turn weakness into strength. The Meridians' crystalline technology was advanced, but it was also predictable. Humans, on the other hand, were anything but. The attack began with a whisper. Literally. Synchronized sonic pulses, just below the threshold of human hearing, began to resonate through the streets. The Meridian patrol stopped, their crystalline forms vibrating almost imperceptibly. Then came the second phase, electromagnetic pulses calibrated to the exact frequency of their neural networks. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Meridian soldiers began to fracture, their crystalline forms unable to maintain cohesion under the combined assault. But this wasn't just another raid. It was a test of something new. Dr. Maya Patel emerged from her hidden observation post, scanning equipment in hand. "The new frequency is working," she reported, her voice tight with excitement. "Their adaptation rate is significantly slower. We might have finally found a way to prevent them from developing immunity to our sonic weapons." This had been the biggest challenge in fighting the Meridians, their ability to adapt. Every time humanity found a weakness, the aliens would modify their crystalline structure to compensate. It was a constant arms race, with human ingenuity barely keeping pace with Meridian evolution. But humans weren't fighting alone anymore. In the darkness of defeated worlds, they had found allies. Other species who had resisted Meridian control. The Arsheri, beings of pure energy who had been fighting a shadow war for centuries. The Keth, a silicon-based species whose natural resistance to crystalline technology made them invaluable spies. Together, they shared knowledge, resources, and most importantly, hope. The Meridians had never faced a coalition like this, species united not by force or fear, but by a shared desire for freedom. In a secure facility beneath Mount Fuji, Dr. Chen worked with Arsheri scientists to develop the next generation of resistance technology. They had discovered something extraordinary, a way to potentially turn the Meridians' crystalline nature against them. If they could successfully disrupt the aliens' collective consciousness, they might be able to free all the absorbed species trapped within their matrix. Back in Chicago, Marcus's team completed their mission, collecting data that would be crucial for the next phase of the resistance. But as they prepared to retreat into their underground network, Their sensors detected something new, a quantum signature unlike anything they'd seen before. A massive Meridian ship appeared in the sky, its design radically different from their previous vessels. As it descended, Marcus realized with a mix of dread and determination that the Meridians were evolving too. The war was entering a new phase, and humanity would need to adapt once again. But this time, they were ready. In hidden bases across the globe, human scientists and their alien allies were putting the finishing touches on Project Phoenix, a technological leap that would change the nature of the war itself. The Meridians thought they were fighting a simple resistance movement. They were about to discover that humanity had much grander plans. As the new Meridian ship cast its shadow over the ruined city, Marcus sent a coded message to Resistance Command. They're changing tactics. Initiate Project Phoenix. The response came back immediately. Acknowledged. The time has come to show them what humanity can really do. The silent resistance was about to find its voice, and the galaxy would never be the same. Project Phoenix. Deep within the Antarctic research facility known as The Nest, Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display that showed humanity's greatest achievement since the Meridian invasion. Project Phoenix wasn't just a weapon. It was a fundamental reimagining of how humans could interact with alien technology. The quantum mesh is stable, reported Dr. Patel, her fingers dancing across the control interface. Neural synchronization at 98%. Around them, a massive chamber housed rows of what appeared to be crystalline pods. But these weren't Meridian technology. They were human-made, improved versions that incorporated artificial energy manipulation and Keth silicon-based computing. Project Phoenix had begun as a desperate attempt to understand Meridian biology. It had evolved into something far more powerful, a way to beat them at their own game. The crystalline pods were designed to enhance human consciousness, allowing operators to interface directly with Meridian systems while maintaining their individuality. The first test subject was already in position. Captain Elena Santos, former fighter pilot and one of the Resistance's most decorated officers, lay within the central pod. Her consciousness was about to become humanity's first weapon in a new kind of warfare. Neural bridge initiating, Dr. Chen announced. The chamber hummed with energy as Elena's mind connected to the quantum mesh. On the monitors, her neural patterns began to align with the crystalline matrix, but unlike the Meridian Collective, she remained distinctly herself. The breakthrough had come from an unexpected source: children's video games. The Meridians operate like a hive mind, Elena had observed during development. But humans have been practicing individual control within collective systems for generations. Every multiplayer game is training for this kind of mental coordination. The first test exceeded all expectations. Elena's consciousness extended through the quantum mesh, touching Meridian systems across the globe. She could see their networks, understand their communications, and most importantly, she could interfere with them. But Project Phoenix wasn't just about infiltration. The pods were also incubators for a new kind of technology: human-designed crystals that could grow and adapt faster than their Meridian counterparts. Each success brought more breakthroughs as humanity learned to turn the invaders' greatest strength into a vulnerability. The resistance movement transformed overnight. Human operators in Phoenix pods could now predict Meridian movements, disrupt their communications, and even take control of their simpler systems. The occupiers found themselves facing an enemy they couldn't see or understand: human consciousness operating on their own technological terrain. The first major victory came in Rio de Janeiro. Elena, leading a team of Phoenix operators, seized control of a Meridian processing facility. The aliens had never considered that their neural networks could be accessed and manipulated by individual minds. Their collective consciousness, which had been their greatest advantage, became a liability when faced with the creativity and adaptability of human operators. News of the victory spread through the resistance network like wildfire. More volunteers stepped forward for the Phoenix program, each success building on the last. The Meridians found themselves facing an enemy that could think like them but fight like humans, unpredictable, innovative, and relentless. But the true potential of Project Phoenix revealed itself when the operators began communicating with the absorbed species within the Meridian Collective. Countless civilizations, thought lost to the crystalline assimilation, still existed as distinct consciousnesses trapped within the Matrix. The human operators became their first hope of freedom in generations. Dr. Chen watched as Elena made first contact with a consciousness that identified itself as a survivor of the Lyran civilization, one of the first species the Meridians had conquered. Through the quantum mesh, they began sharing knowledge accumulated over centuries of imprisonment. Each connection brought new allies, new technologies, and new ways to fight back. The Meridians responded with increasing desperation. Their attacks became more frequent, more violent, but also more predictable. They couldn't comprehend how their perfect system was being turned against them. Their crystalline ships, once symbols of unstoppable power, became vulnerable targets for Phoenix-enhanced human strikes. In the Nest's command center, Marcus Torres, now Colonel Torres, studied the global battlefield display. "They're pulling back," he observed, consolidating their forces around their major processing centers. It was the first sign that the Meridians were no longer fighting to conquer. They were fighting to survive. But victory wouldn't be as simple as dragging them from Earth. Through the quantum mesh, the Resistance had learned the full scope of Meridian control across the galaxy. Earth was just one battleground in what needed to become a much larger war of liberation. As Part 3 drew to a close, Dr. Chen and her team prepared to expand Project Phoenix beyond Earth. The next phase would require humanity to take the fight to the stars, but this time they wouldn't be alone. The consciousness of 1,000 enslaved species waited within the Meridian Collective, ready to join forces with the first civilization that had found a way to fight back. "We're not just fighting for Earth anymore," Elena announced to the gathered Phoenix operators. "We're fighting for every species they've ever tried to assimilate. The galaxy is about to remember what freedom feels like." The Great Deception. Operation Ghost Protocol began not with a bang, but with silence. Across the galaxy, Meridian communication networks experienced microscopic disruptions. Nothing alarming, just subtle delays and minor data corruptions that their systems automatically attributed to normal cosmic interference. Commander Zara Patel stood on the bridge of the Phoenix-class vessel, Shadow Strike, watching as her crew of human operators interfaced with their crystalline pods. Their consciousness flowed through the quantum mesh, executing the most ambitious infiltration in human history. Phase 1 complete, reported Lieutenant James Chen, Dr. Chen's nephew, and one of the program's most gifted operators. "The Meridian Collective is accepting our artificial data streams as natural system fluctuations." The plan was elegantly simple in concept but monumentally complex in execution. Using the knowledge gained from liberated consciousnesses within the Meridian Matrix, human operators were creating phantom data, false reports of rebellions, equipment malfunctions, and resource depletion, designed to slowly manipulate Meridian forces into positions of vulnerability. Deep within Meridian space, the Resistance had already established hidden outposts. The Arsheri provided their energy masking technology, while the Keth's natural resistance to crystalline detection made them perfect forward scouts. These bases became staging points for Phase 2, the infiltration of Meridian command structure. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Maya Patel had discovered that the Meridian collective consciousness operated on multiple layers. The surface level handled immediate tactical decisions, but deeper layers contained their strategic planning and core directives. By inserting carefully crafted data packets into these deeper layers, they could influence Meridian behavior without triggering their considerable defense mechanisms. "It's like Inception," Zara had explained to her crew. "We're not trying to fight their thoughts. We're planting ideas that their own system will develop naturally." The strategy proved devastatingly effective. Meridian forces began repositioning themselves based on threats that didn't exist, weakening their actual defenses against the coming storm. But the true masterstroke of Operation Ghost Protocol was its manipulation of the Meridians' greatest weakness, their absolute confidence in their technological superiority. They never considered that their neural network could be compromised because they believed no species could match their crystalline technology. This blind spot became their undoing. Through the quantum mesh, Phoenix operators discovered something extraordinary. The Meridians weren't truly a unified consciousness. Their collective was fractured into competing hierarchies, each seeking to maintain control over their vast empire. By exploiting these divisions, humanity began turning Meridian factions against each other. The Resistance's first major victory in this phase came at the Centaurid Processing Hub. Without firing a single shot, they convinced 3 separate Meridian battle groups that each other was compromised, leading to a conflict that severely damaged one of the invaders' primary staging areas. But the operation wasn't without its costs. The deep neural connections required for such precise manipulation took their toll on the human operators. Many experienced intense mental fatigue, and some reported disturbing dreams filled with crystalline landscapes and alien thoughts. Dr. Sarah Chen worked tirelessly to refine the Phoenix pods, implementing safeguards to protect human consciousness from the alien influence of the Meridian collective. "We're not just fighting for our bodies," she reminded her team. "We're fighting for our minds, for the right to remain individually human." As Ghost Protocol progressed, the Resistance discovered the Meridians' critical weakness, their complete dependence on their crystalline technology. Unlike humans, who could adapt to using different tools and strategies, the Meridians had evolved to be inseparable from their neural network. This made them incredibly powerful, but also fundamentally inflexible. The final phase of the operation began when Elena Santos, now Admiral of the Phoenix Fleet, initiated contact with countless dormant consciousnesses within the Meridian Matrix. Species that had been absorbed generations ago began to stir, awakened by the touch of free human minds through the quantum mesh. A coordinated revolution was taking shape, but timing would be crucial. If they moved too soon, the Meridians would adapt. If they waited too long, they risked detection. The Resistance needed one more piece to complete their puzzle: direct access to the Meridian Central Command Nexus. The opportunity came when the phantom data streams finally convinced the Meridian High Command that a critical system vulnerability had been detected in their core network. As their engineers began a massive system-wide diagnostic, they inadvertently opened thousands of backdoors into their most secure networks. "All pieces are in position," Zara announced to the gathered fleet commanders. "The Meridians believe they're fixing a system flaw, but they're actually implementing our access protocols. When they activate their solution, they'll give us control of their entire network." As Part 4 concluded, humanity stood on the brink of its greatest gambit. The Meridians had conquered the galaxy through technological superiority and absolute control. Now those same tools would become the keys to their undoing. The stage was set for Revolution's dawn. Revolution's dawn. The signal that sparked a galactic revolution was, fittingly, a simple human word: begin. Admiral Elena Santos transmitted the command through the quantum mesh, and across thousands of worlds, years of careful preparation erupted into synchronized action. Within the Meridian collective, dormant consciousnesses awakened. On occupied planets, hidden resistance cells emerged. In space, the Phoenix Fleet decloaked, revealing humanity's true military strength for the first time. The Meridians never saw it coming. Their own neural network, compromised by Operation Ghost Protocol, transmitted conflicting commands that paralyzed their response. Battle groups received contradictory orders, defense systems activated against phantom threats, and communication channels dissolved into chaos. "All Phoenix operators, initiate final protocol," Elena commanded from the bridge of the flagship Defiance. Around her, rows of crystalline pods hummed with power as human operators launched the most sophisticated cyber warfare campaign in history. They weren't just fighting the Meridians, they were liberating every consciousness trapped within the collective. The first to break free were the Lyrans, their ancient wisdom providing crucial assistance in unlocking other imprisoned species. Then came the Vordani, master strategists who had resisted meridian control even within the collective. Species after species awakened, each adding their unique abilities to the revolution. Dr. Sarah Chen, monitoring the quantum mesh from Earth Command, watched in awe as the galaxy came alive with resistance. The Meridians thought they were building an empire, she observed. Instead, they created the largest prison break in history. The battle for the Meridian homeworld, Crystal Prime, became the defining moment of the revolution. The Phoenix Fleet, now joined by ships crewed by liberated species, launched a multi-dimensional assault. While human operators disrupted Meridian defenses through the quantum mesh, our Sherry energy beings overloaded their power systems, and Keth commandos targeted crucial crystalline nodes. But the Meridians weren't finished. Their central consciousness, recognizing the existential threat, initiated emergency protocols that began reformatting their entire network, with no concern for the billions of absorbed consciousnesses that would be erased in the process. Commander Zara Patel, leading the assault on Crystal Prime's main control nexus, made a decision that would be remembered for generations. Instead of trying to stop the reformatting, she redirected it. They want to rewrite their system, she transmitted to the fleet. Let's give them something worth becoming. Using techniques developed through Project Phoenix, human operators began feeding new base protocols into the Meridian Collective, not to destroy it, but to transform it. The crystalline network that had been used to enslave countless species could become a tool for connection and cooperation, but only if its fundamental nature was changed. The battle reached its crescendo as the reformatting wave swept through Meridian space. In those crucial moments, the combined will of humanity and their allies faced off against millennia of Meridian control programming. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. When the quantum storm cleared, the Meridian Collective was no more. In its place was something new, a voluntary neural network that preserved individual consciousness while allowing unprecedented cooperation between species. The very technology that had been used to enslave the galaxy became the foundation for its liberation. The aftermath brought challenges no one had anticipated. Thousands of freed species had to rebuild their civilizations, some after centuries of imprisonment. Meridian technology, now transformed, had to be repurposed for peace rather than conquest. But humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt and innovate, proved just as valuable in peace as it had in war. A new galactic council formed, with Earth playing a central role not because of military might or technological superiority, but because humans had proven themselves capable of something remarkable, fighting for the freedom of others as fiercely as they fought for their own. Dr. Chen, in her address to the first meeting of the Galactic Concordat, summed up humanity's journey. We were not the strongest, the most advanced, or the first to resist, but we were the ones who learned to turn opposition into unity, weakness into strength, and defeat into opportunity. Most importantly, we remembered that true victory isn't about conquering others. It's about preserving what makes each of us unique while finding ways to work together. The Phoenix Fleet remained, transformed from a weapon of war into a peacekeeping force. The quantum mesh evolved into a galaxy-wide communication network that respected individual privacy while fostering unprecedented cooperation between species. And humanity, having faced extinction and emerged stronger, took its place among the stars not as conquerors or victims, but as architects of a new era of galactic peace. As ships from 1,000 worlds gathered around Earth to celebrate the first anniversary of the revolution, Admiral Santos stood on the Defiance's observation deck, watching the greatest fleet in history unite not for war, but for commemoration. We did more than say enough, she reflected. We showed the galaxy how to say begin again.